Give my questioning time to Ms. May. Thank you very much, my dear colleague.
To be able to participate in today's critical panel, I want to thank all the witnesses in both panels, if I could put that on the record. I'm going to try to ask a question about something that hasn't been asked yet, and that is the nature of the agreements that are signed between First Nations and Metis and Imperial. These have been referenced as the impact benefit agreements by Chief Adam and others, and I think Mr. Noseworthy specifically said there's things I can say and things I can't say because of the agreement. Without revealing what you can't say, can you describe the nature of your obligations to keep certain things between you and the company and what things you're allowed to talk about? Can that be described? Mr. Noseworthy, thank you.
So I can tell you I have an agreement with them. Our community has an agreement with them. Beyond that, I wouldn't be able to say anything more.
There's an agreement, for instance, in British Columbia government I'm aware of, between the Pachadot First Nation and the government of BC, which says the First Nation must not allow protests to begin against the resource exploitation on their territories. Is that something you can comment on as being completely unheard of in Alberta, or is that, I know you can't say if that's in the agreements, I understand that. I'm wondering if the nature of the agreement precludes speaking to anything that could be considered critical of the industry.
So I think I've been critical here today, so I'm not breaching the agreement. But I would say that it is a picket fence that we walk on every day. And we need to make sure that we're respecting and honoring our agreements, and we do that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have entered into them. But the agreement itself did not protect our community from what happened, right? And so we're working now with the regulator who apparently appeared out of nowhere. I never even knew who the head of the regulator was until he phoned me and asked me for a meeting. So from that, you can take, I think, an answer.
Thanks for your attempts at candor. I understand constraints. I've just wanted to share, I went gazillion years ago before I was in politics with the Sierra Club of Canada. I actually participated in the environmental review of the Carl Lake proposed mine. And I remember clearly Imperial saying that state of the art for tailings pond management. No need to worry about leaks. And I remember Dr. David Schindler, when he started documenting the leaks, his reputation was attacked. I just wonder if in hindsight, did the environmental assessment process get to the truth, or were we sandbagged by industry?
Defer to Tim on this.
I wasn't involved in that specific environmental impact assessment process. I can say, as Dan has suggested here, the environmental impact assessment process in Alberta is extraordinarily weak. The first thing that we did when the new federal legislation was passed was scan the list of designated projects to figure out how we can get things designated for federal review, because the provincial review is so deeply inadequate. And you know, a lot of these issues go to, I think, a deeper issue of the progressive privatization of the duty to consult, which has been downgraded from a responsibility of the federal crown to the provinces, then to industry, and then increasingly to third parties contracted by industry. And so if you want to talk about the psychological effects of feeling like you don't matter, your voice isn't heard, that's a pretty clear indication to me of where the priority on Indigenous rights and Indigenous people rests in this process.
Thank you. Mr. Blakey?